Malik Carter only walked into the Marlowe room because his 7-year-old daughter was hungry. After a long shift, all he wanted was to pick up Zoe's favorite pasta, drive home through the Atlanta rain, and end the night quietly. The restaurant was too expensive, too polished, too far from the world he lived in as a widowed single father counting bills and dance class payments. He had no reason to stay, until he saw Vivian Monroe. She was his boss, the powerful president of Lux Horizon Events, the kind of woman who could silence a boardroom with one look. But that night, seated across from wealthy real estate investor Derek Whitman, Vivian did not look powerful. She looked trapped. Her smile was stiff, her shoulders were tense, and when she tried to leave, Derek's hand closed around her wrist beneath the table. No one moved. Not the servers, not the guests, not the men in expensive suits pretending not to see. Malik knew what could happen if he stepped in. A black man confronting a rich white investor in a luxury restaurant could be misunderstood in 100 dangerous ways. He could lose his job. He could become the problem. And Zoe was waiting just a few feet away. But Vivian's eyes met his for one silent second. So Malik walked toward the table and said the first lie that could save her. "Vivian, there you are. Zoe is waiting for us." What he didn't know was that Vivian had already been falling for him long before that night. And if stories about courage, kindness, and second chances speak to your heart, don't forget to subscribe and stay with this journey. Sometimes the smallest act of bravery can change more than one life. Malik Carter had not planned to become anyone's hero that night. He had planned to pick up dinner, get home before Zoe fell asleep in the back seat, warm the pasta if it cooled too much, and maybe listen to his daughter explain the difference between a good pirouette and what she dramatically called a wobbly disaster. After a 12-hour day at Lux Horizon Events, that was enough of a dream for him. The hotel lobby smelled of polished wood, expensive perfume, and rain carried in on the coats of people who had never checked a grocery receipt before swiping a card. Malik crossed it with Zoe's small hand tucked into his. She wore her pink dance jacket over her leotard. Her curls were gathered into 2 puffs Malik had redone in the car after class because one ribbon had come loose and Zoe had declared it a hair emergency. "Daddy," Zoe said, dragging the word into 3 syllables. "I'm starving." "You said that 5 minutes ago." "I got more starving." Malik smiled despite the ache behind his eyes. "Then it's a good thing your pasta is waiting." The Marlowe room sat on the 32nd floor, the kind of place where the silverware looked too elegant to touch, and the servers moved as if they had practiced walking silently. Malik had ordered takeout from there only because Zoe had loved their creamy pasta the one time a client event left extra meals for staff. To him, the restaurant was not a place to linger. It was a place to pick up food and leave before anyone wondered why he was there. He guided Zoe to the waiting area near the tall glass windows. Atlanta glittered below them, blurred by rain. "Stay right here," he said. Zoe hugged her star-shaped backpack to her chest. "Can I look at the tiny cars?" "From this chair." She climbed onto the cushion and pressed her face toward the glass. Malik walked to the host stand, gave his name, and waited. His phone buzzed with a reminder for Zoe's school payment. He dismissed it, already calculating what could be shifted, delayed, or stretched. 4 years earlier, before bills became puzzles and bedtime routines became sacred architecture, Malik had been a husband. Naomi had filled their small apartment with music, Sunday pancakes, and the kind of laughter that made hard things feel survivable. Then illness had come quietly, then brutally, and by the time Zoe turned 3, Malik was learning how to braid hair from online videos and how to answer questions no child should have to ask. Now he was father, mother, protector, provider, and the last wall between his daughter and a world that did not always feel gentle. At Lux Horizon Events, people respected Malik because he solved problems before they became disasters. He ran logistics with calm precision. Missing floral shipment? Malik had a backup. Vendor threatening to cancel? Malik knew who to call. A panicked intern crying behind the loading dock? Malik would hand them water, fix the issue, and never mentioned the tears. He arrived early. He stayed focused. He remembered the names of security guards and cleaning staff. But every evening at exactly 6:10, he left. Some people called that lack of ambition. Vivian Monroe had never called it that. Vivian was the founder and president of Lux Horizon Events, a woman whose name opened doors and tightened spines. She was sharp, controlled, and famously difficult to impress. Malik had seen executives rehearse before walking into her office. He had seen wealthy clients soften their voices when she lifted one eyebrow. To most employees, Vivian seemed untouchable. To Malik, she was also fair. Demanding, yes, cold at times, but fair. She noticed details others ignored. Once, after a brutal gala setup, she had thanked the night crew by name. Another time, she had approved overtime without making anyone beg for it. Malik respected her for that. He never let himself think beyond respect. Vivian belonged to private elevators, charity boards, investor dinners, and tables where wine cost more than his electric bill. Malik belonged to lunch containers, dance shoes, and a two-bedroom apartment where the dishwasher rattled like it was trying to escape. He knew the distance between them, and he respected it. What Malik did not know was that Vivian had spent the last year and a half noticing him in ways she had no right to admit. She noticed how he lowered his voice when someone was overwhelmed, how he never embarrassed a new employee for asking a question, how his face changed whenever Zoe called. In a company full of polished ambition, Malik's devotion to his daughter felt rare, steady, and deeply human. Vivian had buried that feeling under professionalism. She was his boss. He was her employee. Wanting him was complicated enough to be dangerous. That night, she was not supposed to be thinking about Malik at all. She was seated at a corner table across from Derek Whitman, a real estate developer whose money could secure one of Lux Horizon's largest upcoming projects. Derek had arrived with charm sharpened to a shine. He complimented her dress, ordered an expensive bottle of wine, and spoke easily about investments, travel, and the kind of success that photographed well. For the first half hour, Vivian endured him politely. Then the shine began to crack. Derek interrupted her twice, then 3 times. He laughed when she described a negotiation strategy and said, "That's what I like about you, Vivian. You almost think like a man." Vivian's smile froze. When the server came, Derek ordered for both of them without asking what she wanted. When she said she preferred something lighter, he waved a hand. "Trust me," he said, "you'll like what I chose." Vivian had dealt with arrogant men before. She had built an empire while men like Derek mistook condescension for charisma. But this was different. In business, she could walk away from a table with a contract unsigned and her head high. Here, his gaze lingered too long. His voice lowered too much. His smile became a door closing. "I should head home," she said, placing her napkin beside her plate. "I have an early meeting." Derek leaned back. "The night is young." "For you, perhaps, not for me." She reached for her clutch. His hand closed over her wrist beneath the edge of the table. It was not violent enough to make a scene. That was what made it terrifying. His fingers pressed just hard enough to warn her not to pull away. "Don't embarrass me in front of the whole restaurant," he said softly. Vivian's breath caught. Across the room, Malik turned from the host stand with the takeout bag in his hand. At first, he only recognized the dark blue dress. Then he saw Vivian's face. Her smile was there, but it was not real. Her shoulders were rigid. Her hand was trapped under Derek's. Malik stopped. Every instinct told him to be careful. He was a black man in an expensive restaurant full of people who might not give him the benefit of the doubt. Derek looked rich, white, powerful, and angry. Vivian was his boss. Zoe was waiting 20 feet away. One wrong move could cost him his job. Maybe more. Then Vivian looked up. For half a second, her eyes met Malik's. She did not call out. She did not have to. Malik set the takeout bag down, straightened his jacket, and walked toward her table. He reached Vivian's table with the same controlled expression he used when a delivery truck broke down 10 minutes before a ballroom reveal. Calm face, steady breath, no sudden movements. "Vivian," he said, his voice warm enough to sound familiar and clear enough for nearby tables to hear. "There you are. Zoe is waiting for us." For 1 second, Vivian simply stared at him. Then understanding flashed in her eyes. She rose carefully, pulling her wrist free as she stood. "I'm sorry, Derek, I have to go." Derek's chair scraped hard against the floor as he stood too. The sound cut through the low music and polite conversation. Several guests turned their heads. "Excuse me?" Derek said. Malik shifted half a step, not touching Vivian, but placing himself between her and Derek with the precision of a man who understood space. He kept his hands visible at his sides. "She said she has to go," Malik said. Derek looked him up and down. His mouth twisted as if Malik were an inconvenience delivered to the wrong address. "And who exactly are you?" "Someone making sure she gets to leave." Vivian's pulse hammered in her throat. She wanted to speak, to reclaim control, to prove she was not helpless. But her wrist still burned where Derek's fingers had been. The fear had not left her body yet. Derek noticed the eyes on them and raised his voice just enough to perform for the room. "This is unbelievable," he said. "Vivian, are you seriously letting an employee interrupt a private dinner?" The word employee landed like a deliberate insult. Malik felt it. So did Vivian. So did the server standing frozen near the wine station. For a moment, anger rose hot in Malik's chest. He thought of every time a man like Derek had mistaken money for character. He thought of Zoe sitting by the window, watching tiny cars, trusting him to come back with dinner and calm. He swallowed the anger. "Respect doesn't depend on a title," Malik said. "And tonight, you didn't give her any." The restaurant went quiet enough for Malik to hear the rain tapping against the windows. Derek's face darkened. "You have no idea who you're talking to." "I know she said no." A manager approached, careful and nervous. "Is everything all right here?" Derek laughed once, sharp and ugly. "No, everything is not all right. Your restaurant apparently allows random employees from outside companies to harass paying guests." Vivian found her voice then. "He did not harass you," she said, her tone cold enough to make the manager straighten. "He helped me leave after I asked to end the evening." Derek's smile thinned. He understood then that the room had shifted. He could still threaten, but he could no longer control the story without witnesses. He snatched his credit card from his wallet and threw it onto the table. "This isn't over, Vivian." Malik did not move. Derek stepped close enough that Malik could smell wine on his breath. "And you," he said quietly, "should learn your place." Malik held his gaze. "I know my place." The answer was quiet, but it had weight. Derek looked away first. He brushed past the manager and strode toward the exit, leaving behind a table of untouched food and a silence no one wanted to name. Vivian remained standing, one hand wrapped around the strap of her clutch. Malik noticed the tremor in her fingers. He wanted to ask if she was hurt, but he did not want to embarrass her in front of strangers. "Would you like to step outside?" he asked. She nodded. Malik retrieved the takeout bag from the host's stand with a brief apology, then walked with Vivian toward the lobby. He did not place a hand on her back. He did not guide her as though she were fragile. He simply stayed beside her, close enough that if Derek reappeared, he would not reach her first. Zoe jumped down from the waiting chair as soon as she saw them. "Daddy, did they have extra bread?" Then she noticed Vivian. Her eyes widened with open curiosity. "Are you Daddy's friend?" Vivian blinked, caught between lingering fear and the sudden innocence of the question. A small laugh escaped her, shaky but real. "I suppose I'm someone who works with your daddy," she said. Zoe studied her. "You look like a princess, but a tired one." "Zoe," Malik said softly. Vivian laughed again, this time with more breath in it. "That is probably very accurate." Zoe smiled, satisfied. "I'm Zoe." "I know," Vivian said. "Your father talks about you." Zoe looked up at Malik with delight. "Good things?" "Mostly," Malik said. "Daddy." That made Vivian smile, and for a few seconds, the cold fear in her chest loosened. Outside the restaurant entrance, the hotel valet area glistened with rain. Cars rolled under the awning. Men in suits checked phones. A woman in diamonds laughed too loudly near a black SUV. Zoe sat on a bench with the takeout bag on her lap, while Malik stood a few steps away with Vivian. He kept Zoe in sight. "Do you have someone coming for you?" he asked. "My driver is on the way," Vivian said. Then, after a pause, her controlled expression broke. She looked down at her wrist, then at the street. "I was scared," she admitted. Malik did not look surprised. He did not rush to comfort her with empty words. "That makes sense." Vivian's eyes lifted to his. "I have negotiated with men who would burn down a room before admitting they lost. I have managed events with senators, billionaires, celebrities, people who think the world was built for their convenience. And tonight, I couldn't get out of a chair. You did try to leave. He stopped me. And that was on him, not you." Vivian pressed her lips together. She was used to admiration. She was used to envy. She was even used to resentment. But she was not used to being seen in a moment of fear without being diminished by it. Malik's voice softened. "Being afraid doesn't make you weak. It just means you're human." The words reached her before she could defend against them. For years, Vivian had survived by becoming untouchable. Men respected her when she was perfect, feared her when she was cold, and listened when she made herself sharper than the room around her. But Malik stood in front of her as if her fear did not cancel her strength. Zoe called from the bench, "Miss Vivian, do you want pasta? I can share, but only a little because I'm really hungry." Vivian turned and something tender moved across her face. "Thank you, Zoe," she said. "Not tonight, but that is very generous." Zoe nodded seriously. "Daddy says sharing is good even when I don't want to." Vivian looked back at Malik. He cleared his throat, suddenly uncomfortable. "She remembers everything except where she leaves her shoes." "I heard that," Zoe said. A dark sedan pulled up to the curb. Vivian's driver stepped out and opened the rear door. For a moment, Vivian did not move. Rain whispered beyond the awning. The city lights reflected in the wet pavement. "Thank you," she said to Malik, "for not looking away." Malik's answer came quietly. "I just did what anyone should have done." Vivian held his gaze, but they both knew that no one else had. By morning, the story had reached Lux Horizon events before Malik did. He felt it the moment he stepped off the elevator with Zoe's glitter sticker still clinging to the cuff of his jacket. Conversations softened. Eyes moved away too quickly. Someone near reception pretended to study folders that had not changed since yesterday. Malik kept walking. He had survived worse than whispers. He had survived hospital corridors that smelled like antiseptic and bad news. He had survived holding Naomi's hand while pretending not to hear the machines slowing down. Office gossip did not scare him, but the possibility of losing the job that kept Zoe safe did. His first meeting was supposed to be about delivery routes for an upcoming museum gala. Instead, the room felt like a courtroom with better coffee. Two coordinators watched him with sympathy. One senior planner, Brad Ellis, leaned back with the satisfied expression of a man who had been waiting for Malik to slip. Vivian entered last. She wore a cream blazer, her hair pulled back, her expression composed. Only Malik noticed the shadow beneath her eyes. She looked at the table, not directly at him, and began the meeting with business as usual. For 40 minutes, they discussed vendor access, floor plans, refrigeration schedules, and staging times. Malik gave his updates clearly. No one could say he was distracted. No one could say he did not belong in that chair. When the meeting ended, people left slowly, hoping to overhear whatever came next. Vivian waited until the door closed. "Malik," she said, "Derek sent an email this morning." He had expected it. Still, his stomach tightened. "About me?" "About last night, about the company, about his investment." Malik set his notebook on the table. "What does he want?" Vivian's mouth hardened. An apology. A disciplinary response. And though he did not phrase it directly, Proof that I understand the cost of embarrassing him." Malik looked toward the window. Atlanta spread below them in clean glass and gray light. Somewhere across the city, Zoe was at school, probably telling someone that her father had brought home pasta from a fancy restaurant where a tired princess worked. "I can write a statement," he said. "Explain that I misunderstood the situation." Vivian's eyes sharpened. "You did not misunderstand anything. I know what happened." "Then don't offer him a lie." "I'm offering you a way out." Vivian went still. Malik regretted the words, not because they were false, but because they revealed too much. He had spent years learning how to protect people quietly, fix the problem, take the blame if needed, keep moving. But Vivian was not looking at him like a boss managing an inconvenience. She looked almost wounded. "I don't need you to become the problem so Derek can stop being one," she said. The softness in her voice made him look away. "I have a daughter," Malik said. "I can't pretend this doesn't worry me." "I know. If he pulls his funding, people will blame me." "Some people might. If rumors start, they won't say I helped you. They'll say I crossed a line with my boss." Vivian did not answer quickly. That silence told him she had thought of it too. "I'm requesting the restaurant footage," she said at last. "The manager is willing to confirm what he saw. We will document everything properly." "We?" "Yes, we." Before Malik could respond, a knock came at the glass door. Brad stepped in without waiting to be invited. "Sorry," he said, not sounding sorry. "Finance is asking whether Whitman Development is still confirmed for next month's investor dinner." Vivian's expression closed. "That is not your department." "No, but people are asking. After last night, there's some concern about optics." Malik stood straighter. "What optics?" Brad gave him a thin smile. "Come on, Malik. A company president has dinner with a major investor, and one of her employees storms in to play hero? You have to admit it looks unusual." Vivian's voice cut through the room. "He did not storm in." Brad lifted both hands. "I'm just saying what people are already saying." "No," Vivian said. "You're repeating it because it benefits you." Color rose in Brad's face. Malik looked at Vivian, startled. He had seen her dismantle vendors and executives with that same controlled precision, but never on his behalf. Brad recovered with a shrug. "I hope it doesn't affect the museum gala." "It won't," Malik said before Vivian could speak. "The freight schedule is finalized. Your revised guest flow plan still has a bottleneck near the south entrance, but I sent you a fix at 7:14 this morning." Brad's smile vanished. Vivian looked down, and Malik thought he saw the corner of her mouth move. "I'll review it," Brad muttered, then left. The door clicked shut. For the first time that morning, Vivian let out a quiet breath. "He has wanted your position for 6 months." "I know." "And you still help him?" "I helped the event," Malik said, "not him." Vivian studied him. That was the thing about Malik Carter. He made decency look practical, not weak, not naive, necessary. The day did not get easier. By lunch, Derek's email had become an invisible hand pressing against the company. A board advisor called Vivian. A public relations consultant asked for a timeline. Human Resources requested a written account from Malik for clarity. Every phrase sounded careful enough to be harmless, and cold enough to remind him that one mistake could become a file. Malik wrote the statement alone in a small conference room. He kept it factual. Vivian attempted to leave. Derek Whitman placed his hand on her wrist and told her not to embarrass him. Malik approached, offered a reason for Vivian to exit, and escorted her toward the lobby without physical contact or raised voice. Derek threatened him before leaving. When he finished, Malik stared at the last sentence until the words blurred. He wondered what Naomi would have told him. Probably that doing the right thing did not guarantee comfort. Probably that Zoe would one day need to know her father chose courage when it was inconvenient. At 3, his phone buzzed with a message from Zoe's after-school program reminding parents about Saturday's dance showcase. Malik saved the notice, then looked through the glass wall of the conference room. Vivian stood near her office, speaking with HR. She looked composed, but her fingers pressed tightly around a folder. For the first time, Malik realized the night had not only put his job at risk, it had placed Vivian in a trap too. If she defended him too strongly, people would question her motives. If she stayed silent, Derek would win. Their eyes met across the office. Neither of them smiled. But something passed between them, quiet and heavy. Gratitude, fear, and the knowledge that last night had changed the shape of every room they entered. That evening, Malik left at 6:10 as always. At Zoe's school, she ran to him with her backpack bouncing and a blue marker stain on her hand. "Daddy, did Miss Vivian eat dinner?" The question caught him off guard. "I don't know, baby. She looked sad when she left." Malik opened the car door for her. "Sometimes grown-ups have hard days." Zoe climbed in, then looked up at him. "You helped her, right?" Malik fastened her seatbelt. "I tried." Zoe nodded, satisfied. "Good. Mommy said helping scared people is brave." Malik froze. Naomi had said that once during a storm when Zoe was too little to remember clearly. Or maybe Malik had repeated it so many times that Zoe had made it part of her mother's voice. He shut the car door gently and stood in the parking lot, hand resting on the roof. Inside the car, Zoe practiced a dance move in the air. Malik looked toward the fading sky. He had stepped in because Vivian needed help. He had not expected the world to punish her for accepting it, and he had not expected how badly he would want to stand beside her again. In the weeks that followed, Vivian Monroe learned how loud silence could be. No one challenged her openly. No one was foolish enough for that. Meetings still began when she entered. Clients still accepted her decisions. Staff still stepped aside in hallways with the same respectful distance they had always given her. But she heard the pauses. She saw how conversations shifted when Malik's name came up. She noticed how some employees watched him with admiration, while others studied him as though waiting for proof that he had received something he did not earn. Derek had not disappeared either. His official response came through attorneys and polished emails. He claimed he had been embarrassed by an overzealous employee and disappointed by Vivian's lack of personal judgment. He did not mention touching her wrist. Men like Derek rarely included their own violence in the record. Vivian answered through proper channels. She requested security footage from the Marlowe room. She collected statements from the manager and 2 servers. She documented everything with the same cold precision she used for million-dollar contracts. Still, Derek's influence spread. A lifestyle blogger posted a vague item about a prominent Atlanta businesswoman, a major investor, and a mysterious male employee who had caused a scene at an upscale restaurant. No names appeared, but the details were obvious enough for people at Lux Horizon to understand. Malik said nothing about it. That made Vivian ache more than anger would have. He came to work early. He fixed problems. He met deadlines. He treated everyone with the same steady professionalism he always had. If people whispered near the break room, he walked past. If Brad Ellis made a pointed remark about special attention from leadership, Malik redirected the conversation back to work. Vivian wanted to defend him publicly. Malik asked her not to. They stood in her office late one afternoon after another rumor reached HR. Through the glass walls, the city had turned gold with sunset. Malik remained near the door, as though distance itself were a rule he had promised not to break. "You should let me address this," Vivian said. "Not like that." "Like what?" "Like I need protection." Vivian's jaw tightened. "You are being targeted because you helped me." "I know." "Then why are you asking me to stay quiet?" "I'm asking you not to make it look like my career depends on you saving it." The words struck harder than he intended. Vivian turned away, staring at the framed photograph of Lux Horizon's first office. One rented room, folding chairs, and a younger version of herself pretending not to be terrified. "I never wanted you to feel small," she said. Malik's expression softened. "You don't. Then let me stand up for you." "You can stand for the truth," he said. "Just don't stand in front of me like I can't speak for myself." Vivian looked at him then, and something in her chest loosened. It was not pride, not exactly. It was recognition. Malik did not want rescuing. He wanted respect, and she loved him more for it. The thought came so clearly that it frightened her. She turned back to her desk before he could read her face. "I'll keep everything formal. Thank you." He left her office, and Vivian remained still long after the door closed. She had built her life on control. She controlled rooms, budgets, narratives, risks. But what she felt for Malik refused to be filed, contained, or explained away. It had not started at the Marlowe room. It had started in smaller places. The morning she saw him give his umbrella to a temp employee during a storm and walk 3 blocks in the rain without mentioning it. The day Zoe called during a budget meeting and Malik's entire face softened before he stepped outside. The night a caterer broke down crying after a mistake and Malik quietly rearranged the loading schedule so no one would know she had nearly ruined a client dinner. Vivian had admired him first. Then she had trusted him. Then, somewhere without permission, she had loved him. What she did not know was that Malik was fighting his own losing battle. He told himself Vivian's kindness was gratitude. Her concern was guilt. Her softer voice in meetings was stress, not tenderness. He was good at discipline. He had built a life from discipline. Wake up before Zoe, pack lunch, work hard, leave at 6:10, pay bills, make dinner, read one bedtime story even when his eyes burned. Keep going. But Vivian kept slipping through the walls he had built. She remembered Zoe's dance showcase and asked how it went. She sent the restaurant footage to HR without making Malik chase it. She stopped Brad from assigning Malik unnecessary weekend work, but did it through policy, not favoritism. She treated him carefully, almost too carefully, and that carefulness told him she understood the danger. One Saturday, Lux Horizon hosted a family-friendly planning day for an upcoming charity campaign. Employees brought children, spouses, cousins, and parents. Malik brought Zoe because the sitter canceled and because Vivian had insisted families were welcome. Zoe entered the office holding Malik's hand, wearing yellow sneakers and a denim jacket covered in star patches. Vivian saw them from across the event space. Zoe saw her too. "Miss Vivian!" she called, then ran toward her before Malik could stop her. Vivian knelt instinctively. Zoe crashed into her with the fearless affection of a child who had not yet learned how complicated adults could make love. Malik froze. Vivian's arms hovered for half a second before settling gently around Zoe. Her face changed completely. The woman who could silence vendors with a glance looked startled, then tender, then almost afraid of how much the hug meant. "I brought my dance pictures," Zoe announced. "I would love to see them," Vivian said. For the next 10 minutes, Zoe explained each blurry photo on Malik's phone with intense seriousness. Vivian listened as though reviewing priceless art. Malik watched from a few feet away, one hand in his pocket, trying to ignore the ache building beneath his ribs. Zoe had not hugged many women like that since Naomi died. She had teachers, neighbors, kind faces at church, but Malik had kept a careful boundary around his daughter's heart. People could be kind, people could help, but he never wanted Zoe to mistake temporary warmth for permanence. Vivian looked up at him then, as if she sensed the fear. "I hope this is okay," she said quietly. Zoe was busy zooming in on a photo of herself mid-spin. Malik forced himself to answer honestly. "She gets attached." Vivian nodded. There was no offense in her face, only understanding. "I won't step into her life lightly." The words were simple. They terrified him. Later that afternoon, Malik found Zoe sitting with Vivian at a craft table, both of them wearing paper crowns made by a group of children. Vivian's crown was crooked. A gold star sticker clung to her cheek. Brad passed by and raised an eyebrow. Malik expected Vivian to remove the crown immediately. She did not. Zoe leaned close to her and whispered something. Vivian laughed, full and unguarded, and Malik felt the sound move through him like light entering a room he had kept closed too long. That night, as he tucked Zoe into bed, she asked, "Is Miss Vivian lonely?" Malik paused with the blanket in his hands. "Why do you ask that?" "Because sometimes she smiles like she forgot how and has to practice." Malik sat on the edge of the bed. Children noticed what adults tried to hide. Zoe had seen Naomi's pain even when Malik smiled through it. Now she had seen Vivian's loneliness from across a crowded room. "Maybe she is," he said. Zoe hugged her stuffed rabbit. "Can we invite her for macaroni?" Malik's throat tightened. "It's not that simple." "Why?" "Because she is my boss. Because people are already talking. Because I am not ready. Because if you love her and she leaves, I will have to watch your heart break in a way I cannot fix." He said none of that. "Grown-up things are complicated sometimes." Zoe frowned. "That sounds like grown-ups make easy things hard." Malik smiled sadly. "Sometimes we do." By the time the charity fundraiser arrived, Vivian could no longer pretend her feelings were only admiration. The event filled a garden courtyard behind a downtown conference center. Children painted murals along temporary walls. Donors moved between white tents. Music floated through the warm evening air. Malik seemed to be everywhere at once, solving a microphone issue, helping a lost boy find his mother, then lifting Zoe onto his shoulders so she could see the dancers on stage. Vivian watched him with a longing so deep it frightened her. Zoe waved from Malik's shoulders. Vivian waved back, laughing. Then Malik looked at her. For a moment, the noise around them faded. He looked tired, gentle, guarded, and beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with appearance and everything to do with the life he carried without bitterness. Vivian knew then. If she stayed silent, she would lose him slowly anyway. After the fundraiser ended, she found him near the back garden where string lights hung from the trees. Zoe was inside with 2 staff members, eating cake and showing off her paper bracelet. "Malik," Vivian said. He turned. "Everything okay?" "No." His expression changed immediately. "What happened?" "That's the problem," she said softly. "You always think something has to be wrong before I ask for you." He went still. Vivian's hands trembled, but she did not hide them. "The night at the Marlowe room is not why I care about you," she said. "It only forced me to stop lying to myself." Malik did not speak. Vivian drew a breath.
"I loved you before that night."
Her voice broke slightly, but she kept going. "I loved you when you were just being kind and careful and completely unaware of what it was doing to me." The garden seemed to hold its breath. Malik looked at her as if she had offered him something impossible. Then pain crossed his face. "Vivian," he whispered, "you shouldn't love a man like me." The words landed between them like something dropped and broken. Vivian stared at him under the string lights, the last sounds of the fundraiser fading behind the conference center doors. For a moment, she looked less like the president of Lux Horizon Events and more like a woman who had stepped out onto thin ice without knowing whether it would hold. "A man like you?" she repeated. Malik looked away. He hated the hurt in her voice. He hated that he had put it there. But the truth inside him had risen too fast, too raw, too familiar. It was the truth he had carried for years without saying it aloud. A man like him had bills stacked in a kitchen drawer. A man like him bought Zoe's dance shoes one size too big so they would last longer. A man like him still reached across the bed some mornings before remembering Naomi was gone. A man like him did not belong in Vivian Monroe's world. "You don't know what you're saying," he said quietly. Vivian's face tightened. "I know exactly what I'm saying." "No, you know what you feel right now." Her eyes flashed. "Do not reduce this to gratitude." "I'm not." "Yes, you are." She stepped closer, then stopped herself, as if even her own movement had to respect the line between them. "You think I'm confused because you helped me that night. You think I saw you rescue me and turned it into something romantic because I was scared."
Malik said nothing.
Vivian's voice softened, and that softness hurt worse than anger. I noticed you long before Derek Whitman ever touched my wrist. He closed his eyes briefly. She continued, each word careful but shaking. I noticed how you speak to people when no one important is watching. I noticed how your daughter's name changes your whole face. I noticed that you leave at 6:10 every evening, not because you lack ambition, but because you know what matters enough not to sacrifice it. Malik opened his eyes, and Vivian saw the conflict there. He wanted to believe her. That was what made him look so afraid. I can't do this, he said. Vivian swallowed. Because you don't feel the same? The honest answer rose to his mouth and nearly destroyed him. He did feel something. He felt it when she looked at Zoe as though the child's small stories mattered. He felt it when Vivian stood beside him without pity. He felt it when she defended him and still listened when he asked not to be shielded. He felt it now, standing under lights that made her eyes shine with hurt he had caused. But feeling was not the same as being able to survive what came next. I'm a single father, he said. That's not a detail, that's my life. Zoe is my life. I know that. No, Vivian. You care about her, and I believe that. But you don't know what it means to be the person who has to pick up the pieces if something breaks. She already lost her mother. Vivian's expression changed. The pain in her face deepened, but she did not interrupt. Malik's voice lowered. I won't let my daughter get attached to someone who might wake up one day and realize this was too much, too ordinary, too messy. Is that what you think I would do? I think people with options eventually remember they have them. For a second, Vivian looked as though he had struck her. Malik hated himself for it, but he kept going. Because if he stopped now, he might reach for her. And if he reached for her, he might never find the strength to step back. You deserve someone who fits beside you in photographs, he said. Someone who doesn't have to learn your world from the outside. Vivian's eyes filled, but her voice stayed steady. You think love is a lifestyle match? I think love doesn't erase reality. No, but fear can twist it. That silenced him. For a moment, there was only the distant clatter of staff breaking down tables. Then Malik whispered, I loved my wife. Vivian's face softened completely. I know, she said. I still do. I would never ask you not to. The answer broke something in him. He had expected jealousy, discomfort, maybe that slight tightening people got when a dead spouse entered a room. But Vivian did not flinch. She stood there with his grief between them and treated it as something sacred. That made it harder. I don't know how to start over, he admitted. Vivian stepped closer, just one step. You don't have to know tonight. He shook his head. You deserve someone who can. I deserve honesty. I deserve respect. I deserve not to be treated like I'm too fragile to choose what I want. I'm trying to protect you. And I am trying to tell you that I am not asking to be protected from you. Malik looked at her then. The words were there, almost spoken. I care about you. I think about you. I am terrified because when you look at me, I remember I am still alive. Instead, he said, I need time. Vivian nodded slowly, but the hurt in her eyes remained. All right. I'm sorry. I believe you. That was worse than if she had accused him. He turned away before he could change his mind. When he stepped back inside the conference center, Zoe came running toward him with frosting on her sleeve and a paper bracelet around her wrist. Daddy, Miss Vivian said she liked my stars, Zoe said, then looked past him. Where is she? Malik forced a smile. She had to stay outside for a minute. Zoe frowned. Is she sad? He could not answer. He took his daughter's hand and left the fundraiser with his heart dragging behind him. In the days after Vivian's confession, Malik became a master of distance. He answered emails quickly and professionally. He scheduled meetings with 3 or more people in the room. He stopped lingering near Vivian's office when he had updates. If she passed him in the hall, he greeted her politely and kept walking. No one could accuse him of being rude. That was the cruelty of it. Vivian understood what he was doing, and she let him. She did not chase him into corners or demand another conversation. She did not punish him at work. She did not make him pay for rejecting the most vulnerable thing she had ever offered. She simply became quieter. Malik saw it even when he tried not to. He saw how her smile became smaller, how she stayed later than usual, how she poured herself into work with a precision that looked impressive to everyone who did not know she was hurting. He told himself this was better. Then Zoe asked about her. They were eating dinner at the small kitchen table, boxed macaroni with chopped vegetables Malik had added to make himself feel responsible. Zoe pushed peas around her plate with a fork. "Daddy? Did Miss Vivian stop being our friend?" Malik's fork paused halfway to his mouth. "No, baby." "Then why doesn't she talk to us anymore?" "She's busy." Zoe gave him the look Naomi used to give him when he told a bad lie. "She talked to us when she was busy before." Malik set down his fork. "Grown-ups sometimes need space." "Did you make her sad?" The question was so direct that Malik felt it in his chest. He looked at his daughter, at the small face that still carried traces of Naomi in the eyes, the chin, the stubborn tilt of her head. Zoe was 7, but grief had made her notice absences other children might miss. "I might have," he said. Zoe's fork scraped softly against the plate. "Is she going to go away?" Malik closed his eyes for a second. "I don't know. I like her." "I know. But I don't want to like her if she's going to disappear." The words hollowed him out. Malik moved from his chair to kneel beside her. "Come here." Zoe slid into his arms. She was getting taller, but when she folded against him, she still felt like the 3-year-old he had carried through the worst year of their lives.
I miss Mommy,
she whispered. Malik held her tighter. "Me too." "If you like Miss Vivian, does that make Mommy gone more?" His eyes burned. "No," he said, voice rough. "Nobody can make Mommy more gone, and nobody can take her place." Zoe pulled back. "Then why are you scared?" Malik had no answer a child deserved. Later, after Zoe fell asleep, he sat alone in the living room with the old wooden box he kept on the top shelf of his closet. Inside were photographs, Naomi's wedding ring, a scarf that no longer smelled like her no matter how much he wished it did, and letters she had written during the months when both of them knew the truth, but neither said it often. He opened one he had read only twice. "Malik, if life is kind enough to bring you love again, don't punish yourself for receiving it. I know you. You'll try to turn grief into loyalty. But I never wanted to be a locked door in your heart. I wanted to be a room full of light. Let Zoe see you live. Let her see that love can hurt and still be worth the risk." He pressed the letter to his mouth and finally cried. Not quietly, not neatly. He cried for Naomi, for Zoe, for Vivian standing in a garden with her heart in her hands, and for the man he had become, strong enough to survive loss, but not yet brave enough to accept joy. The next morning, Derek Whitman forced the choice Malik had been avoiding. For days, Derek had been waiting for Vivian to apologize, discipline Malik, or beg him to stay on the project. When she did none of those things, he chose escalation. By 9 o'clock, Vivian had called an emergency leadership meeting. Derek had officially withdrawn from the investment project. Worse, he had sent letters to 3 partner firms accusing Lux Horizon of unprofessional conduct. He claimed Malik had threatened him at the Marlowe room. He suggested Vivian's judgment had been compromised by an inappropriate attachment to an employee. This time, Malik did not wait to be summoned. He walked into the conference room before anyone could decide his fate without him. The room fell silent when Malik entered. Vivian stood at the head of the conference table with a folder thick with emails, witness statements, and Derek Whitman's accusations. Around her sat senior staff, legal counsel, HR, finance, and 2 board advisors who rarely came in unless money was in danger. Brad Ellis sat 3 chairs down, his mouth slightly open. Malik closed the door behind him. "I heard my name was part of this meeting," he said, "so I should be here." One advisor, Thomas Hale, adjusted his glasses. "Mr. Carter, this is a leadership discussion. With respect, if the discussion includes whether I threatened an investor, damaged this company, or acted inappropriately with its president, then it is also about my name, my work, and my future." No one answered. Vivian looked at him with worry, but beneath it was pride. She did not rescue him. She let the room make space for him. Thomas cleared his throat. "Very well." Malik took the empty chair near the end of the table and sat upright, hands folded, voice steady. Vivian began with facts. Derek had withdrawn from the South Ridge development launch. He had contacted partner firms. He had accused Lux Horizon of tolerating employee misconduct and implied that Vivian's judgment had been compromised. Then she opened the folder. "The Marlowe room provided a statement from the floor manager," she said. "Two servers confirmed Mr. Whitman raised his voice after I attempted to leave. Security footage shows Mr. Carter approaching calmly, standing at a distance, and escorting me toward the lobby only after I stood up." Legal counsel nodded. "The footage supports Mr. Carter's written account." Thomas frowned. "The issue is not only what happened, it is perception. Whitman has influence." Brad leaned forward. "Exactly. No one is saying Malik intended harm, but a temporary reassignment might calm things down." Malik looked at him. "Calm down whom?" Thomas answered. "The partners, the people watching." Malik nodded once. "So I should step back because Derek Whitman is comfortable lying loudly." A tense silence moved around the table. Malik continued. "I understand optics. I also understand what I saw. Ms. Monroe tried to leave a dinner. Mr. Whitman held her wrist and told her not to embarrass him. I stepped in because she needed an exit, not because I wanted attention, and not because my job title gave me authority over anyone." He looked around the table. "If I had raised my voice, touched him, or threatened him, I would accept the consequences. But I did not. I gave a woman a safe way out of a situation where a man was using power to keep her seated." Thomas shifted. "The company cannot be run on emotion." "No," Malik said. "It should be run on values. Otherwise, the values on the website are just decoration." The words landed hard. Malik turned briefly to Vivian, then back to the room. "I'm not asking Ms. Monroe to protect me. I'm asking this company to tell the truth. And because there are concerns about perception, I'll put something on the table myself." Vivian lifted her head. "If necessary, I will step away from any project where Ms. Monroe is my direct decision-maker while this situation is reviewed. My performance can be evaluated by operations leadership and HR. Future assignments can be documented. Not because I did something wrong, but because I will not let gossip define my work, and I will not let anyone suggest I need special treatment." The room changed. The conversation was no longer about moving him like a problem. He had taken control of his own terms. Legal counsel made a note. HR nodded. Vivian spoke. "That is reasonable. I was prepared to recommend the same structural change for transparency." Brad looked disappointed that neither of them had given him a scandal to hold. Thomas leaned back. "And the Whitman partnership?" Vivian's voice hardened. "Lux Horizon will not continue business with Derek Whitman." Finance shifted nervously. "That is a significant loss." "So is becoming the kind of company that sacrifices an employee to appease a man who behaved abusively," Vivian said. This time, no one argued. By noon, the decision was official. Malik would remain in his role. His performance reviews would go through the Chief Operations Officer. Vivian would no longer directly approve his advancement, compensation, or project assignments. Lux Horizon would end all discussions with Derek and issue a brief statement if necessary. The company stood by its employee and its president. The news did not fix everything. People still whispered. Derek still had money. Partners still asked questions. But Malik walked out of that conference room with his shoulders straighter than when he entered. Vivian found him later in the quiet hallway near the freight elevators. "Thank you," she said. Malik gave a tired smile. "For what?" "For speaking for yourself. You told me once not to offer Derek a lie. I figured I should start there." Vivian stepped closer, then stopped with careful distance between them. "Malik." "I was scared," he said. Vivian waited. "I was scared of losing my job, scared of people thinking I used you, scared of not being enough for you, scared Zoe would love you and then lose you, scared I'd be betraying Naomi if I let myself want a life I didn't plan." Vivian's eyes softened. Malik forced himself not to look away. "But mostly I was scared because I do feel the same." The hallway seemed to still. "I love you," he said, rough and honest. "I think I have for a while. I kept calling it respect because that felt safer." Tears gathered in Vivian's eyes, but she let him finish. "I can't do this if it has to be hidden," he said. "I can't do it if Zoe becomes an afterthought. I can't do it if people can question every good thing I earn because of you." "They won't have that power," Vivian said. "We'll make everything transparent. Your reviews, your role, the reporting structure. I already spoke with legal and HR before today's meeting. Not because I assumed anything from you, but because if there was ever a chance for us, I wanted it to be clean." That nearly broke him. Vivian had not simply loved him, she had considered the cost of loving him carefully enough to protect his dignity. "Then I'd like to start slow," Malik said. "So would I. And Zoe comes first." "She should," he smiled faintly. "She has a dance showcase Saturday." Vivian's breath caught. "If you want to come," Malik said, "not as my boss, not because of the company, but because I'm asking you to." Vivian's tears spilled, quiet and unashamed. "I would love to come." On Saturday, Vivian arrived at the Community Arts Center with a small bouquet of yellow flowers, because Malik had once mentioned Zoe loved anything that looked like sunshine. She wore jeans and a soft sweater, looking less guarded than he had ever seen her. Zoe spotted her before the show began. "Miss Vivian!" She ran down the aisle. Vivian bent just in time to catch her hug. "You came," Zoe said. "I said I would." Zoe looked at the flowers. "Are those for me?" "Every one." Zoe accepted them with royal seriousness, then leaned closer. "I might mess up one turn." Vivian lowered her voice. "Then make it look intentional." Zoe giggled. The performance was not perfect. Zoe forgot a step, turned the wrong way, then laughed so brightly that half the room laughed with her. Malik clapped like she had won a national title. Vivian clapped beside him, eyes shining. Afterward, in the lobby, Zoe held the flowers against her chest and studied Vivian. "Are you going to disappear?" she asked. Malik went still. Vivian crouched to Zoe's height. She did not offer an easy forever. "I can't promise life will always be easy," Vivian said. "But I can promise I won't come into your heart unless I mean to be careful with it." Zoe considered that. "Daddy says careful is important." "He's right." Zoe looked at Malik. "Do you like her?" Malik crouched beside them, his heart exposed in a lobby that smelled like stage makeup and paper programs. "Yes," he said, "I do." Zoe nodded slowly, then handed Vivian one yellow flower from the bouquet. "Then you can keep this one." It was not permission exactly, it was a beginning. Over the next 6 months, that beginning became a life. Vivian did not replace Naomi, she never tried. When Zoe talked about her mother, Vivian listened. When Malik kept Naomi's photograph on the living room shelf, Vivian never looked threatened by it. She learned that love in Malik's home had rooms, not walls. She burned macaroni the first time she tried to cook Zoe's favorite dinner. Zoe took one bite, made a heroic face, and said, "It's almost food." Vivian laughed so hard she had to sit down. At work, boundaries held. Brad eventually stopped making comments when it became clear Malik's work spoke louder than gossip. In the months that followed, Lux Horizon lost Derek's investment, but gained 2 new clients after word spread that Vivian Monroe had refused to excuse abusive behavior for money. Malik changed too. He stopped shrinking from rooms that looked too expensive for him. At a donor event, when a guest asked whether it was difficult dating a woman more powerful than he was, Malik smiled. "I don't measure love by who stands higher," he said. "I measure it by who stands beside you when things get hard." Vivian reached for his hand under the table. Half a year after the night everything changed, they returned to the Marlowe room for Zoe's 7th birthday. The restaurant was still elegant, still high above Atlanta, still filled with glass, silver, and soft music. But Malik did not feel like an intruder this time. He sat beside Vivian, Zoe between them wearing a paper birthday crown and grinning at a cake with 7 candles. Vivian looked across the table at Malik. She remembered him stepping toward her when everyone else looked away. He had not known she loved him. He had only known that someone needed help. Malik looked at Vivian and understood what he had spent years refusing to believe. He did not have to become richer, smoother, less wounded, or more impressive to be worthy of love. He only had to be honest enough to receive it. Zoe blew out her candles. "What did you wish for?" Malik asked. Zoe shook her head. "Can't tell or it won't come true." Vivian smiled, but her eyes shone. Malik reached under the table and took her hand. Zoe leaned against his side, warm and real and laughing. When they left the Marlowe room that night, no one was trapped. No one was afraid. No one had to prove they belonged. They stepped into the elevator together, going down toward the city lights, toward home, toward a future built not from perfection, but from courage, honesty, and the quiet miracle of choosing not to look away. And maybe that is the lesson Malik, Vivian, and Zoe leave behind. Love does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it begins with one person noticing another person's fear. Sometimes it grows through patience, respect, and the courage to be honest about pain. And sometimes the person who changes your life is not the one who promises perfection, but the one who stands beside you when the room goes silent. If this story touched your heart, consider subscribing and staying with us for more stories about kindness, courage, family, and second chances. Because in a world where many people look away, every act of compassion still matters.